In the far future, when mankind sails across the stars, not all corners of the galaxy shine with peace. Some are ruled by fear, and at the heart of that fear stands a queen. She was once a brilliant leader, strong and wise, but power twisted her heart. Now her voice echoes through the steel walls of her star fortress, sharp with jealousy. She commands vast fleets, controls entire colonies, and demands loyalty through terror. Yet despite all her power, her greatest enemy is not a rival empire, not an alien race, but one young woman. Her name is Snow White. Snow White is unlike anyone else. She is not a warrior, not a conqueror, not even a leader of ships, but her spirit is pure, and her kindness travels farther than any beam of light. Across colonies and stations, her name is spoken with hope. Where she walks, people feel courage again. To the queen, this is unbearable. In the silent chamber of her fortress, the queen speaks to her ship's AI, a glowing entity known only as Mirror. Its silver screen shifts like liquid as her voice cuts the air. Mirror, who is the fairest in all the galaxy? Every time the answer comes, steady and cold. Snow White, pure of heart, strong of spirit, loved by all. The queen's hands curl into fists. Rage burns in her chest. She cannot stand it. Again and again, she asks the same question. Again and again, the answer does not change. Snow White's name shines brighter than the queen's throne. In the cold silence of her hall, the queen makes her choice. Snow White must vanish forever. But fate does not bend so easily. Snow White feels the danger closing in. She does not know how, but her heart tells her the queen's eyes are already upon her. She cannot stay. She cannot hide in the light of human colonies. She must flee into the dark, into the unknown. So she takes a small shuttle, no larger than a merchant's craft, and sets her course for the forbidden edge of space. The stars grow thinner, the light fades, and ahead she sees them, giant shadows, mountains of stone drifting in silence. An asteroid field, ancient and cursed, feared by all pilots. Ships that enter rarely return, but for Snow White, it is the only path left. Her shuttle shakes as she enters the field. Rocks crash and grind, their edges glowing as they scrape against each other. The void is alive with danger. Her engines struggle, warning lights flare, and the hull creaks under the strain. Snow White grips the controls, her breath sharp, her eyes fixed. She whispers to herself, steady but brave, "I will not give in. Not to her, not now." The queen, watching from afar through hidden probes, smiles with cruel delight. To her, the asteroid belt is a tomb. But then, something strange happens. Snow White's shuttle drifts into the shadow of a massive asteroid, its surface riddled with deep cracks and glowing veins of crystal. Her systems flicker. The air hums, and then she sees it. Signals. Soft pulsing lights dancing in the dark. Not random, not natural, but patterns. A beacon. A warning. A welcome. Her craft is pulled forward, drawn by unseen hands. The asteroids shift as if making way for her. Inside the endless dark, she feels she is not alone. Something is waiting, watching. And in that moment, as her shuttle disappears into the unknown, Snow White's journey begins, not just for her own survival, but for the fate of the entire galaxy. Far away from the asteroid field, inside the Queen's star fortress, silence hangs heavy. The walls gleam like polished metal, but the air feels cold, sharp, and tense. In the center of the chamber, The queen sits upon a throne of black steel. Her crown is not of gold, but of circuits and wires, glowing faintly like fire in the dark. Before her, the mirror AI hums, its surface rippling with shifting light. The queen's voice slices through the silence. Mirror, who is the fairest in all the galaxy? The AI does not hesitate. Its tone is smooth, without emotion, but each word strikes the queen's heart like a blade. I know Snow White, pure of heart, strong of spirit, loved by all. The queen's eyes burn. Her nails dig into the arms of her throne. Again, she demands. The mirror answers the same. Snow White, always Snow White. The queen rises, her cloak sweeping across the floor like shadow. She paces the chamber, fury echoing with each step. She is nothing. She is weak. She is a girl hiding among colonies. How can they love her more than me? But she knows the answer. It is not power that makes Snow White shine. It is her kindness, her courage, the way she touches lives without fear or pride. And that truth drives the queen deeper into madness. No weapon, no fleet, no throne can give the queen what Snow White already has. Her rage becomes a storm. If the people love her more than me, she hisses, then let them see her fall. She calls for her most feared warrior, a hunter commander known across the stars. His armor is black as night, his mask cold as stone, and his ships have ended many lives. When he kneels before her, the queen's voice drops into a deadly whisper. Find Snow White and her. Bring me proof. The hunter bows, silent, his orders clear. But deep within his heart, something stirs. He has heard the whispers of Snow White. He has seen colonies light sea candles in her name. He has seen her heal with words, inspire with a smile, and give hope where no hope should live. He knows she is not the monster the queen paints her to be. And so, when he tracks her to the edge of space, to her small shuttle fleeing into the unknown, he cannot lift his weapon. He cannot bring himself to crush the last light of hope in a galaxy drowning in fear. Instead, he speaks softly, his voice muffled beneath the mask. Go. Hide where even the queen cannot see. Do not return to the colonies. Do not let her find you. Live and carry their hope. Snow White looks at him with wide eyes, confused but grateful. She nods, her hands trembling on the shuttle controls. The hunter fires a single shot into the void, creating a burst of flame as if her ship had been destroyed. Then, with heavy steps, he turns back toward the queen's fortress, carrying only a false report and a heavy weight on his soul. Back in her throne, the queen smiles when she hears the news. She believes her rival is gone. Her laughter fills the chamber, sharp and cruel, echoing through the cold halls. But in truth, Snow White lives. Her shuttle drifts deeper into the asteroid field, farther from the queen's gaze, closer to a destiny neither she nor the hunter could yet imagine. The queen believes she has won, but her jealousy has only begun to shape the story of the stars. Snow White's shuttle drifted far from the colonies, carrying her deeper into the unknown. The stars around her thinned, and soon the darkness of space grew heavier, as if the galaxy itself wanted to swallow her whole. Ahead stretched the forbidden asteroid belt, a maze of stone giants drifting and colliding in endless silence. Each rock spun like a blade, their surfaces sharp and glowing faintly with dust from countless crashes. Pilots spoke of this place with fear. Many ships entered, few ever returned. Snow White's hands shook on the controls. Warning lights flashed red across the screen. Her small craft was not built for such chaos, yet there was no turning back. The queen believed she was dead, but if she left the belt now, her hunters would find her. This dangerous place was her only shield. She pushed forward. The shuttle trembled as an asteroid scraped past, so close that sparks burst across the hull. Another rock spun down, massive as a mountain. She pulled the controls hard, and the shuttle rolled, engines screaming. The void became a storm of stone, a world of endless threats. Her power cells dropped lower and lower. The engine hissed. The ship's voice warned, "Energy critical, life support failing." Snow White's breath quickened, but she pressed on, whispering to herself, steadying her spirit. "I must live. I must go forward." The rocks grew thicker, the shadows deeper. Then through the black, she saw something strange. A glow. Not the harsh flash of colliding stone, not the weak light of her failing ship, but a soft pulse. It flickered in rhythm, like a heartbeat. Snow White narrowed her eyes and steered toward it. As she drew closer, she saw it was not just a light, but an opening. A vast crack in the side of a massive asteroid, wide as a canyon, shining faintly from within. The walls of the cave shimmered with crystals, casting blue and gold rare, reflections into the dark. Her power dropped again. Engines coughed. The shuttle lurched, barely holding together. She had no strength left to fight the field. Then it happened. A pull. The ship's panels flickered as an unseen energy wrapped around it. The shuttle shuddered, but not from impact. It was being guided, pulled forward, deeper into the cave, as if invisible hands had claimed it. Snow White gripped the seat, eyes wide, caught between fear and wonder. She had no choice. She let the current take her. Slowly, the black gave way to light. The deeper she was drawn, the brighter the crystals shone, forming rivers of color across the stone. It was like flying into the heart of a hidden world, alive and breathing in silence. Her shuttle, drained and broken, finally shut down. The last of her power flickered out, but she was no longer lost in empty space. The unseen force carried her gently, guiding her ship to a landing deep inside the glowing cavern. The engines went quiet. The alarms faded. For the first time since she fled, there was stillness. Snow White sat frozen in her seat, listening to the hum of energy that surrounded her. She knew she was not alone. Something here had saved her. Something had pulled her inside when all else had failed. The question pressed against her heart, heavy and sharp. Who or what was waiting in the shadows of this hidden world? Snow White woke slowly. The hum of machines filled her ears, and the air around her was warmer than the frozen emptiness of space. She pushed herself up and looked around. She was no longer inside her broken shuttle. Instead, she lay inside a strange chamber. The walls were carved from stone, but glowed with bright crystal veins. Pipes and wires ran along the walls, feeding power into humming machines. It felt half like a cave, half like a hidden station, alive with light and energy. Then she saw them. 7 figures stepped out of the shadows. At first she thought they were children, for they were short. But when they came closer, she saw metal fused with skin, glowing eyes inside helmets, and tools heavier than their small frames should carry. They were cybernetic dwarfs, tiny but strong engineers, each shaped by machines and years of survival. One of them, clearly the leader, pointed a tool at her, its tip glowing like a weapon. "Who are you? How did you find us?" His voice was sharp, filled with suspicion. Snow White raised her hands slowly. Her voice trembled, but she spoke with honesty. "My name is Snow White. I didn't find this place. My ship was dying. Something pulled me here. If you saved me, I thank you." The dwarfs muttered among themselves. One hissed, "What if she is a spy? What if the queen sent her?" The leader's eye glowed brighter. "The queen hunts us. We cannot risk strangers." Snow White's chest tightened, but she shook her head firmly. No, the queen hates me too. She wants me gone. I ran because it was the only way to live. Silence followed. The dwarfs watched her carefully. Their world was secret, and their work was dangerous. They mined rare crystals hidden in the asteroids, crystals that could power fleets or entire colonies. The queen wanted these crystals for her empire, but the dwarfs refused. That was why they lived in hiding, building, and working far from her reach. To let a stranger stay here could destroy them. Snow White lowered her eyes. Her voice softened. If you wish me gone, I will go. But I thank you for saving me. Without you, I would already be dead. Her words were simple, but they carried truth. The dwarfs paused. They were used to liars and thieves, people begging for their crystals. They were not used to someone who offered only thanks. The leader lowered his tool slowly. His voice grew quieter. You do not speak like the others. You sound different. Another dwarf tilted his head, his mechanical eye flickering. She doesn't lie, he said. One by one, the dwarfs relaxed. Their suspicion did not vanish, but their anger faded. You may stay, the leader said at last, though his tone was still hard. But only for a short time. Do not think trust comes quickly. Snow White smiled faintly, her eyes warm with gratitude. I don't ask for trust, only for a chance. And so she stayed. At first, the dwarfs kept their distance, but Snow White helped however she could, carrying supplies, cleaning tools, listening when they spoke. She never complained, never demanded. Her kindness was quiet, but it was steady. Slowly, something changed. The dwarfs began to see her not as a stranger, but as one of them. They worked the hardest mines, they built machines from scrap, and Snow White stood beside them, offering comfort in their long hours of labor. The dwarfs had hidden from the galaxy for many years, their hearts hardened by fear of the queen. Yet Snow White's spirit broke through their walls. For the first time in ages, their secret home felt lighter. And for the first time, they began to believe that perhaps their fight against the queen was not hopeless after all. Snow White had given them something they thought they had lost. Hope. Days passed inside the glowing caverns of the asteroid. At first, Snow White felt like a guest, watched closely by 7 sharp eyes. But soon, she found her hands busy, her spirit at work. The dwarfs were engineers, but even the greatest machines break with time. Pipes leaked, wires sparked, and crystal furnaces sometimes dimmed. Snow White, though not trained in their craft, offered her help. She carried tools, cleaned gears, and kept steady light crystals glowing while they worked. Her touch was gentle, her patience endless. When systems sparked with smoke, she calmed the smallest dwarf. When a heavy beam jammed, she added her strength to theirs. And when the long silence of the cave grew heavy, she spoke softly, telling stories of stars and places she had seen. For the first time in years, the dwarfs laughed. Her kindness spread like fire in the dark. Where once there was only the hum of machines, now there was also music. Her voice singing softly as she worked. Where once there were only tired faces, now there were smiles, faint but real. The dwarfs began to see her not as a stranger, but as part of their hidden family. Yet with this warmth came warning. One evening, as the crystals glowed blue across the chamber, the leader sat with her by the furnace. His voice was low, heavy with truth. You must know, he said, the queen does not forget. If she learns you live, she will search every corner of the galaxy. She will come here, and if she finds you, she will destroy not only you, but us. The others nodded, their faces grim. Snow White listened, her hands resting still in her lap. Fear stirred inside her, but she did not turn away. Her voice was calm, steady. I know she hunts me, but I cannot run forever. Alone, I am weak. With you, I feel stronger. If the queen comes, I will not hide. I will stand. The dwarfs looked at her in silence. They had spent years building walls, hiding in shadows, believing survival meant staying unseen. Yet this young woman, hunted and fragile, spoke of facing the queen with courage. Her words planted a seed. From that day, something changed in their hidden world. Snow White was no longer just a guest. She worked as they did, ate as they did, and shared in their dangers. She polished the crystal veins that lit their chambers. She learned how to fit wires into ancient machines. And when their spirits sagged, she reminded them of the light they carried inside. Her presence turned their cave from a place of hiding into something more. It became a home. And though the swine's shadow still stretched across the stars, inside that asteroid, there was laughter, unity, and hope, stronger than fear. Snow White had found not only safety, but family. Far across the galaxy, inside her cold tower of black metal, the queen stood before her mirror AI once more. Its voice echoed through the chamber like iron on glass. "Snow White lives," it said. "She hides in the asteroid belt with 7 engineers at her side." The queen's eyes burned with fury. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with rage. "Alive? Still alive?" She struck the console, sparks leaping in the dark. "Then I will finish what the hunter failed to do. This time, she will not escape." Her mind turned to cunning. Force had failed her before. She needed trickery. She needed a weapon that looked harmless, but carried death inside. In her vaults, she found it. Stolen alien tech. A crystal reactor shaped by old worlds, pulsing with strange light. With her own dark craft, she molded it, smoothing its edges until it shone like a fruit from legend. It glowed red, alive, like an apple plucked from fire. Its beauty hid its danger. One touch, and the crystal would drain life itself. The queen disguised herself with layers of stolen armor. She shrank her form with bending light, masking her cruel face. When she looked in the mirror again, she was no longer a queen, but a wandering merchant, cloaked in rags, carrying trinkets of wonder. Her ship slid like shadow into the asteroid belt. She followed the hidden codes of miners, slipping past rocks and storms, until at last she reached the cave world of the dwarfs. Snow White was outside the habitat, helping the smallest dwarf repair a broken scanner. She was laughing, her voice soft, when the stranger's voice called from the shadows. "Good folk," said the merchant, bowing low. "I bring treasures from across the stars, shards of light, dust of comets, and a gift for one so fair." Snow White turned, curious. Her kindness had no guard, no wall of suspicion. She stepped closer while the dwarfs watched from a distance, uneasy. From the folds of her cloak, the merchant drew the crystal. It glowed like a beating heart, red and alive, lighting the cave walls with strange beauty. "What is it?" Snow White whispered. "A reactor jewel," the merchant answered. "It shines for those who hold it. Yours, if you would accept." The dwarfs cried warning, but Snow White, gentle and trusting, reached out. Her fingers brushed the smooth surface. At once, the glow surged brighter, flooding her body with searing light. Her smile froze. Her knees buckled. The crystal slipped from her hand, rolling across the stone floor. Snow White fell without a sound, her body collapsing as if life itself had been stolen away. The cavern went silent, broken only by the faint hum of the deadly gift. The queen, still cloaked as a merchant, watched with cruel triumph in her hidden eyes. The cavern echoed with cries. The 7 dwarfs rushed to Snow White's side, their small metal hands trembling as they lifted her from the cold stone floor. Her chest still rose, faint and shallow. Her eyes were closed, her skin pale, Yet a faint pulse glowed beneath her skin, like a star dimmed but not gone. "She lives," whispered the eldest dwarf, voice heavy with sorrow. "But the crystal has trapped her. She is caught between life and death." The cursed reactor lay where it had fallen, still glowing faintly with stolen power. The dwarfs sealed it inside a metal vault, burying it deep within their minds. None dared touch it again. They carried Snow White into the heart of their hidden world. There, in their workshop of steel and light, they built a chamber for her. Using rare glass from shattered comets and circuits of their own design, they shaped a cryopod, clear as crystal, strong as iron. Inside it, Snow White rested, preserved in stasis. Her body did not wither. Her beauty did not fade. She looked as if she were only sleeping. Time passed. The queen, far away in her fortress, laughed in triumph. Her mirror told her that Snow White no longer walked the worlds, no longer spoke with the people. Believing victory was hers, she turned her eyes to ruling the colonies with greater cruelty than before. But in the asteroid caves, hope did not die. The dwarfs refused to leave her side. They took turns keeping watch, their glowing eyes reflecting in the glass. Each day they spoke to her, telling stories of the crystals they mined, of the stars beyond the rocks, of the hope she had brought them. "Wake one day, Snow White," the youngest whispered. "The queen has not truly won. We are still here. We will not give up." Years stretched on. The galaxy moved, empires rose and fell. But in that hidden world, the cryopod shone like a beacon of waiting. The dwarfs stood faith, full, their hearts bound to the promise of her return. And though the queen believed the light of Snow White was gone, whispers began to stir in the colonies. Tales spread of a girl in crystal sleep, guarded by 7 engineers in the shadows of the asteroid belt. A legend, fragile yet unbroken, waiting for the moment it would rise again. The asteroid belt lay quiet, a maze of stone and shadow. For many years, no ship dared to enter. But one day, a young star captain and his fleet drifted into the field, chasing faint signals. His name was Arik, a man known for courage and honor. As his scanners swept the rocks, a strange reading appeared, an energy pattern unlike anything he had seen. He followed it until he came to the hidden world of the dwarfs. There, in the heart of their chamber, he saw it. A glass cryopod glowing faintly, and inside it, the face of Snow White. Arik's breath caught. He knew her. All the colonies did. She was the symbol from old tales, the one said to bring hope in dark times. He touched the glass with reverence. "It's true," he whispered. "She lives." The dwarfs stepped forward, weary but steadfast. They told him the story of the queen's trick, of the crystal curse, of their endless watch. Arik listened, then bowed his head. "If there is a way to wake her, I will find it." With his ship's advanced medtech, he began. Machines hummed, lights flickered, codes ran across the pod. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, color returned to Snow White's cheeks. Her eyes fluttered. Her chest rose deeper. With a sudden gasp, she awoke. The dwarfs cried out in joy. Arik stepped back, awe in his eyes. Snow White sat up, her spirit blazing brighter than ever. She looked around, then spoke softly, yet her voice carried strength. "The queen still rules, does she not?" "She does," said Arik, "but not for long." Together, they forged a plan. The dwarfs brought their hidden weapons, crafted from crystal mines. Arik brought his fleet of starships, loyal and ready. And Snow White, no longer only a symbol, but a leader reborn, took command. The final battle came among the stars. The queen's fortress ship rose from the void, vast and cruel, its cannons blazing. Her voice thundered across the sea. You cannot win. I am the fairest in the galaxy. But Snow White's voice answered, clear and unshaken, no, true power is not fear. It is hope. Her words lit a fire in every fighter. The dwarfs' engineered weapons struck first, shattering the queen's shields. Aric's fleet surged forward, swift and fierce. Snow White herself stood at the command deck, guiding the attack with wisdom and courage. The queen fought with all her might, but her empire crumbled around her. Her mirror eye shattered, its voice silenced. In one final strike, her fortress ship split apart, burning into the void. The queen was gone. Silence fell. Then cheers rose across the comms, across the colonies, across the galaxy. Snow White had returned, and with her came hope. From that day, she became more than a legend. She became a leader. With the Seven Dwarfs at her side, with Aric and his fleet, she rebuilt what fear had broken. She brought light back to the stars, uniting worlds not by fear, but by kindness and strength. And whenever people looked to the skies, they remembered the girl who had once fled into darkness and returned brighter than any star.